We're broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios.
Visit MTE.com.
Middle Tennessee Electric, serving to make life better since 1936.
This is a WGNS Action Line. Talking with Rutherford County newsmakers
since 1947.
This is a WGNS Action Line. Now, your host, Scott Walker.
Visiting us today in studio from MTSU, we've got Rick Neff, Commercialization Counselor at Middle Tennessee State University. First off, I'm sure people are going to want to know, what is a commercialization counselor?
So commercialization counselor is someone that helps mainly faculty translate their research from the lab to market. So we have 6 of these across Tennessee right now as part of the Tennessee Technology Advancement Consortium, which is an initiative of Launch Tennessee. So a lot of other universities have variations of this, whether it's new ventures, development officers, tech transfers officers. So this is one thing that MTSU is doing, part of the Launch Tennessee initiative.
So does this also help with like grant funding and things along those lines, or is it a totally separate venture altogether?
It helps with grant funding in a few ways. So usually the faculty will have their research grants, whether it's basic or applied. But a lot of grants now, they want to see that commercial potential before they award it. They want to see that this is actually going to help the community, the society, country in some way. So you need to have that end user in mind, that benefit, and who's getting that benefit in order to really get that grant approved. And then there's also commercialization grants, specifically like SBIR, STTR, where something like this is critical because you really need to understand that market piece to it.
So give us an idea of what usually takes place. Does a company come to you at MTSU? Do you go to them? And what are they looking for when they come to you?
So sometimes a company will come to us, they'll usually have a relationship with a faculty member, might be an alumni, might be someone they met at a conference, and want to do some research. So that'd be like a sponsored project. Usually the faculty member will get the grant, and they'll, through the course of doing the grant, kind of develop these relationships with some companies possibly, or just after the fact think of, okay, who might be a good fit for this? And that's one place where I really can come in and say, okay, well, this company might be a fit, but we need to look at why and how we can kind of get them interested in getting this license. Because companies want to license a solution to a problem for their customers or for them internally. They don't want to license a raw technology. So with commercialization, you have to look at what is the actual product or service going to be from this technology. So it takes a lot more development than just, okay, we're doing research in a lab. You have to kind of build out what I call the form factor of what that product is going to look like.
So what kind of item would be like the perfect client for this?
So it's really across the board. We have a great ag school. We have life sciences. So I'm working with, biology professors, chemistry professors, agriculture, and really everyone can benefit, even things like journalism that aren't, traditionally a research based. We can get copyrights and training materials. So right now we have a case where we have an agriculture professor, did a bunch of research, created this new kind of replacement for plastic film. And instead of licensing it, she's actually going to be now spinning it out herself. She partnered with a retired professor to come on as a co-founder and CEO. And they're forming their own company and going after STTR grants and commercial applications they're going to be selling themselves.
So do a lot of new products out there on the market, maybe products geared towards manufacturers or maybe geared towards, just the general public, but do a lot of products come out of, the think tank of universities, if you would?
I don't know the actual percentage. It's not very high. Once companies establish, they have their own research. They're the ones that are really closest to the customers, and that's where new products are going to be. Those ideas are going to come from those interactions directly with customers.
All right, so let's say somebody comes to you and it's agriculture related. They've got a new horse saddle that's great for horses, doesn't give them any pain, and it's also better for the horse rider. What's the first step when you see that product?
So what are the actual benefits and to whom? So the obvious benefit to the horse, maybe to the rider, but what's the benefit to the company that's going to be selling this? can they make more money off of selling this product than they can off of their current products? Something like that, traditionally, yes, it's a better product. It should be a no-brainer. But can it be manufactured in an efficient way? It can be manufactured at all. A lot of cool ideas don't survive actually bring them to the market because there are those constraints about how do you actually manufacture this in an economical way. So then you find companies out there that might be a good fit. So who are these saddle manufacturers? Something like that's fairly straightforward, but other things you need to look at is this technology competitive or is it complementary to what they currently have? If it's competing with what they currently have, it might not be a good fit because their technology might overtake what you're offering them eventually. If it's complementary, meaning it works with their current technology, it'd be a better fit because they can still advance their technology while still licensing yours and have an overall greater benefit than just theirs alone.
So the conversations that you have with these companies, I'm guessing they either say to you in the beginning, hey, look, this is a top secret project we're working on, or, we don't care who knows. I mean, do you have that confidentiality type agreement up front, and then where does that go?
So usually the confidentiality agreement will come from the university to the company. Say, hey, we have this technology. You're interested in order to really kind of look behind the curtain. We need you to sign an NDA. And there's platforms out there now. So the TTAC is working with a company called Halo to create the Tennessee Innovation Exchange. So on that exchange, basically a marketplace where you have these companies that are looking for solutions to their problems, looking for technologies, and also the universities are now posting their technologies available. And you're creating these connections through that marketplace, through that platform. And then you can kind of explore further. So the company might find something on that exchange that, hey, this might be a good fit for us. And they'll approach the faculty member or approach myself. And then we'll maybe get an NDA going if needed. But it'll be an initial conversation first of can this even be a good fit? Or the faculty member will see something on there that the company is looking for and reach out and say, hey, I have this technology that I think would be a good fit for you, and begin the conversation that way.
So if you're talking to this potential client first, and whatever product it is, let's say it is agriculture related, we'll just keep going with that. Are you the one who reaches out to the ag department and says, hey, here's an idea that somebody came to us with. How can you either better it, or how can you decide on your end if it's already available?
So it's a bit of both. Usually the faculty member will be the ones that'll find it. There's a lot more faculty members than just there's only one of me. So they'll be the ones that'll really kind of go out and see, because they'll also know what their technology is a good fit for.
Okay.
So they'll find it on the exchange, or they'll have that relationship from a previous with the company from previous relationship for some reason, and they'll come to the faculty member and say, hey, we're looking for this, or we saw you're working on this on the exchange, let's explore it.
Again, Rick Neff with us this morning from MTSU, Commercialization Counselor at the university. And again, this is all new to me. I've not heard of this position, so it is fascinating. How did this position come about? Because you said some other universities also have something equivalent to it there. How did MTSU decide to move forward with this?
So through the Launch Tennessee initiative, they're trying to find ways to how do we increase commercialization, how do we increase licensing, spin-outs, and get this technology out of the lab and into the market. And the counselor idea, whether it's called an entrepreneur in residence or a commercialization counselor or director of commercialization, has been around, like I said, in many other universities, usually more R1 style universities with much more research funding, more available funds for positions like this, or other grants will provide this. So it's a proven model, and universities don't have the resources, really have kind of missed out on that step, and therefore haven't been able to really get the licenses out of the lab the way these other universities had on the same rate. So through the Launch Tennessee initiative with funding, they decided to give funding to these 6 universities to start for this position to kind of test the model to see can we really move the needle forward.
And then with the funding side of things, is it the company that is having to pay for the majority of the work, or the grant money like you're talking about? Is that grant money funneled into each potential client and their project?
So the faculty members will get their own grants. Usually they'll work with Office of Research and Sponsored Projects and identify which grant agencies, whether it's USDA, DOE, DOD, et cetera. They each have billions of dollars available across the country for specific research grants. So the faculty member will usually have those grant relationships, and they'll get those grants, and then I'll come in and say, okay, well, how can we actually commercialize this? What's the actual product look like? And they'll continue to get those grants. We've had professors, research faculty working on, life sciences, for instance, for 13 years in the lab, and now we're still taking that and say, okay, let's get some additional product development grants on top of your research grants to turn this into something.
No, I'm assuming this is all good for Tennessee because potentially they could be producing this product here in Tennessee, which equals jobs. Is that the main thought process behind it?
That is a big piece of it, yes. There is a push to have these technologies licensed to Tennessee companies if possible. Or to spin out companies here. And there are a lot of other initiatives that we collaborate with that look to do that. So Ag Launch is another initiative in Tennessee that's working with Launch Tennessee to spin out these agriculture startups. And again, that's a big emphasis on keeping them right here in Tennessee. The some product development grants require a commercial partner located in Tennessee as well. So we want to keep the technology here and grow those companies here as often as possible.
And now the Tennessee Innovation Exchange, that sounds interesting. What exactly is that? I mean, is it like a searchable database that companies can use? What is it?
Basically, yes. It's more than a database. It's really a marketplace. So the companies will have their profiles posted on this exchange, and it's halo.sciences. Anyone can sign up for it and check it out, create an account. And then the faculty members, the universities will also have their profiles and accounts available, and they'll post the research that they're working on, their solutions to problems. Companies will post what they're looking for, the problems they have, and trying to find those solutions. And through a little bit of AI magic in the background, they try to make these pairings, but there's also searchable, so the faculty member can search or the company can search both directions to begin those conversations.
So Halo, now, is this something that just anybody listening can go to and then maybe research themselves, learn about, and if they're an entrepreneur, kind of think of ideas on their own, or is it not like that? It's
actually an amazing place for any aspiring entrepreneur to go to because they can see what these companies are looking for.
What they need specifically.
Exactly. And getting that first customer as an entrepreneur is one of the hardest things to do. So this platform will really help facilitate that because if you have a solution, you can find the company that has that need for that solution directly and begin that conversation, hoping to convert that to a paying customer.
Now, because it is the Tennessee Exchange that we're talking about here, do other states have something similar to this, or do other states tie into this one?
It is actually it's an online platform, so it is available for anybody in the country, really anybody in the world, and there are international companies that are on there, which is great for our faculty because not every company is going to be in Tennessee. So having those international companies on that platform looking for solutions is great, and there are other universities on there as well beyond just Tennessee. We are kind of that core 6 in the kind of initial stage. It's a very early platform, but there are some other universities outside of Tennessee on it as well.
Man, imagine if we had something like this in the 70s and the 80s. Yeah. I mean, gosh, it's really cool.
Yeah, there's billions and billions of dollars of funded research that is literally just on the shelf.
Yeah.
You think about how many, over the course, hundreds of billions of dollars that have been funded for developing something in the lab, and a lot of it does get patented. It creates something new, but those patents do not get licensed. So, across the country, I'd estimate $10 billion worth of patents, off the top of my head, from a little bit of research I've done, excuse me, where these are potential products that could benefit the community, and they're not being put out there. So having an exchange like this where it's facilitate that and make it more efficient and effective is really, really great for the country.
So in other words, all these inventions, if you would, are out there, and they've been patented already. Mm-hmm. It just depends on, well, does a company need, X, Y, Z? And if they look at it, see it, they need it, then they can pick up or purchase or however they do that product.
The company would license it from the university. The problem with a lot of these patents, though, is that it's not in the form factor, again, of the solution of an actual product or service. So the companies can't just license it and then go around and sell it. They need to take it and put further product development funds into it, which can get expensive and is risky. Yeah. So a commercialization counselor and some of these product development and commercialization grants that are available will take it out of the lab, create an actual product that can then be more easily licensed. So de-risks it for the potential company, which then makes it more valuable to the company because they know they have a higher likelihood of actually selling this product instead of licensing something and then having to put money into it and risk not being able to recoup that.
Now, the person or the company behind some of these patents, are some of them just, average Joes who thought of an idea and then wrote down the complex mathematical, this is how it will look, this is what it does behind it, and they patent it themselves?
We see some of that. I've actually had some an alumni reach out to me recently and said, I'm filing a patent on this. I want to work with the university on verifying it. That's not very common, though. A lot of these patents come from years of research in the lab, especially the type that I'm working on as far as the hard sciences. It's years of research, hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes millions of dollars of grant-funded research that goes into this. So there's always the possibility of someone in their garage or on their own, in their own office, creating something that's very valuable, and that does happen all the time. It's just not something that I work with, and not so much on these platforms yet.
And when those types of projects do happen, no matter how rare they are, it could take, I guess, just one big company seeing it and saying, we could actually use that.
Yeah, and you have those Shark Tank moments. I actually just read, so there was a product on Shark Tank where someone invented it in his garage, tried to get funding on Shark Tank, didn't work out. He ended up licensing his design to a larger manufacturer in the country. So there are cases like that where they are very successful. And we have situations like that as well. I mean, we have a great engineering technology school where they build stuff. I've seen some of the cool things they've done. We have a very cool robot in the lab right now that I'm trying to get commercialized. In theory, someone could have built that in their garage as well. One company sees that and says, this is a great fit for us. And it could be life-changing for the inventor and for the university. And
so do you help facilitate, either the sale of that patent or the usage of that patent?
Eventually, yeah. So I'm still pretty early. We don't have too many licenses out there yet. But yes, if we will find a startup or a company, and we will negotiate the license agreement. So what's that upfront cost look like? Because not only do we have money in the research, we also have money in the patent, because getting a patent can be very expensive. So there'll be an upfront cost that the company will pay to the university, as well as a royalty. So every product that they sell, the university would get a piece of that.
Are the products that are potentially cheaper to manufacture, cheaper to purchase, are those the ones usually that take off faster, or is it total opposite of that?
It's across the board. Anytime you can make something more efficient and less expensive, it's a great opportunity for the company, because you need a quantitative value proposition for them. They need to be able to show that they can make money on that. And when you can immediately prove that, yes, this will make it less expensive for you, that is an easier license. But there are the long-term licenses where, look, this is going to help long-term because the market's changing and you need to get into this space. So therapeutics, for instance, is a great example of this is not going to be cheaper, but this is where it's going. This is more effective. So this is going to take over where your current therapeutics are. So that's what we're really working on now for those long-term, 10, 15 years out, of kind of changing to more effective therapeutics. But that's might be more money coming into the university, but it's going to be more expensive for the company to license things like that.
Well, what a fascinating field to be in. I mean, it's got to be interesting.
It is. I love it. I've been doing this for a while now. I started working with entrepreneurs about 13 years ago. And I've been loving it ever since. This is my first time kind of doing it on the tech transfer side. I was always more on the commercialization entrepreneurship side, and now moving back into even what should be patented or what could be patented and what that might look like is a really, really interesting field.
Again, Rick Neff with us this morning from MTSU. If anybody would like to learn more about this or the exchange you were talking about or Halo, how do they go about learning those details and maybe even searching that database?
So definitely check out Launch Tennessee. It's a great website and great resource for entrepreneurs across all of Tennessee. You can find me at the MTSU website, so research.mtsu.edu. We'll get you connected to me in my office if you have anything going on with the university or interested in what the university is doing. And yeah, you can find us at most conferences in the area I'll be at as well. MTSU will have a presence at.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for joining us this morning.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Again, Rick Neff with MTSU, the commercialization counselor at MTSU. Stay with us because we do have a lot more coming your way next, including more guests from MTSU in just a minute.
I'm a single mom, and as you can imagine, it's a fight sometimes just to get out the door. But when I need new tires or something's wrong with my car, I need to head to someone I can trust. I go to Tire World.
Tire World, we keep your family rolling.
Tire World, locally owned and operated. Think the customers know I raise these eggs myself?
They do now. That hen's been louder than your radio.
See you at the Rutherford County Farmers Market, 315 John R. Rice Boulevard. Friday, 8 to noon. Tuesday, 7 to noon or 2 to 7.
Meet the hens behind the eggs.
When I eat healthy, I can eat at Demas's. When I want to eat unhealthy, I can eat at Demas's. If I'm in the mood for pasta, I go to Demas's. If I want steak, I go there. It does not matter what I'm in the mood for. This is Peter Demas. The only thing we don't have is fried food. So it's very easy when you want to take a group out and there's that veto power person who's like, I don't want this. Well, we usually will have something that they want because we have such variety on our menu. The only thing we don't have is fried food. Demas's Restaurant on Northwest Broad Street.
35 years. That's how long your family has trusted my family to care for your pets. Hi, this is Amanda from Animal City. From the entire team here at Animal City, we want to say thank you, Murfreesboro, for allowing us to be your local pet and pet product experts. We have grown up with you, and we're grateful. Stop by and celebrate 35 years of local love with us. Animal City, it's more than a store, it's our home. Animal City, 919 Northwest Broad Street in Murfreesboro.
The Action Line on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
And now joining us in studio, also from MTSU, Dr. Sanjay Asthana. And you are from the School of Journalism and Strategic Media and head of the Environmental Journalism Concentration. How are you this morning?
Pretty good, thank you.
That's a mouthful of stuff right there.
Yeah.
So environmental journalism, what exactly is that?
I might want to add that it's not just environmental journalism, it is environmental journalism and communication. Because that's a pretty broader area that we cover with that. So journalism, yes, to your point, but also communication. So it is a program that was launched about 2 years back as part of the School of Journalism and Strategic Media. And we have, it's a new concentration. So we have students, who are interested in all things environment and climate issues, take the class and, they declare the major. So that's the program that, we have had for close to about 2 years now.
But they literally focus on environmental related issues.
Yes, do. They do broader areas of sustainability, environmental issues, mostly I would say questions of land use practices, waterways and wetlands and how to take care of the ecosystem, ecoregion. And, from a media perspective, and media also quite broadly, not just the institutions of broadcasting, but media as in, how to really understand the communication processes that go on, the decisions that are made at the local level, at the city level, at the county level, things like that.
So what are some of the hottest topics right now in the environment when it comes to journalism, and what are some of the students focused on? Yeah,
wonderful. Yeah, I just finished teaching a class in climate change media and climate change and environment, and we had students who were looking at issues of grasslands particularly in Rutherford County, Cedars of Lebanon. One student did a project on daylighting of the creek, the creek restoration.
The creek,
the creek restoration project, the historic bottoms here. The city had taken a decision on that, and they have sort of started restoring it. So they had, a student wrote a project on that. Another student of mine did work. He's a sort of a kayaker and hiking enthusiast, and he was looking at vaping and how vaping has affected public parks. He's sort of in Barfield Park and other
physical attacks on people.
So those things like vaping and other kinds of things that. It comes with all the accoutrements of the digital stuff, the electronic stuff that comes with it. So the way the people are disposing it off, not properly disposing it off. So that is an issue. One student did a project on basically looking at Everglades in Florida. So the point is that they look at the local as in the city of Murfreesboro, the county, Rutherford County, and also the broader region of Middle Tennessee, where they sort of focus on certain topics. A couple of my students students also wrote on the landfill issue, at the Middle Point landfill issue, and then they wrote pretty good journalistic pieces, not only for the Sidelines newspaper, which is part of the MTSU, but autonomous student-run newspaper, but also doing blogs and online forums where they begin to really have a conversation.
The landfill, of course, has been a hot topic. Have they submitted some of their reports to some of the different city leaders and county leaders here?
Yes, one of my students did that, and I also participated in that. I, was involved in, I am interacting with some of the local nonprofits because it's a neighborhood, right? The university, if the WGNS is a neighborhood radio station, though MTSU is also in the neighborhood, is part of the system here, part of the local environment. So we have, nonprofits like Rutherford Forward, and, like we have More Trees Borough, Safe Soil, we have Cumberland Compact, Sierra Club of Tennessee. All of those nonprofits I keep an active involvement with, and I'm engaged with them, and school teachers and others are involved with that, particularly with the landfill issue that has been, going on for several years now. And I'm participating and having conversations with them. I bring some of them to my classroom to teach and talk to my students. So they come as guest speakers. So there is a kind of a conversation that is ongoing, Scott, and we build that into the way in which we talk about the environment here.
So there are a lot of avenues that these students, once they graduate, could go into. I mean, you're talking about public relations, you're talking about news writing. I mean, they could go a lot of directions.
Yes, there are several other career options for them with the climate change.
Sure.
Also with with private corporations are also investing heavily, and there are other modes of monetizing of that. Students also look for livelihood. So I would say that careers would include an academic researcher, for instance. Somebody could be a climate sustainability coordinator, a climate and environmental advocacy fellow, environmental editor, environmental issues writer, health reporter, sustainability public policy associate, things like that.
Yeah.
We also look at how in our own state here, for instance, the idea that United States has been in the forefront with the NEPA, National Environmental Policy Act of 1969-70, the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, and more importantly, I think the way NEPA is working itself in the urban development projects that the city leaders undertake, they need to pay more attention, I think, to NEPA, and students are in a way sort of more proactive there. They're sort of, in my classes, the students talk about some of the legal public trust doctrine, for instance, where the parks and other public, land is for not only for us, for the future generation, our citizens, our children, grandchildren, right? So they look at some of those things and they build their knowledge in the space of environment and climate change, and then they can work for nonprofits, they can work for private corporations, like particularly like I would give an example, like JP Morgan has a huge in Midtown in New York, they have a huge new building, new office where they have a sustainability division where they sort of look at carbon footprint of smaller entities, smaller companies, and there are some jobs there for students to make a career and a livelihood.
So it almost sounds like grant writing could also be under that same avenue.
Yes, students do, like as they're doing their bachelor's at MTSU with environmental journalism and communication. I have students from biology, from other disciplines, environmental sciences, who take a minor there. So they have a more of a holistic understanding of different fields, and they develop that, they cut their teeth into questions of environment and climate change, and they build that knowledge and base knowledge, and then they begin to really look at other opportunities. Smaller grants, for instance, they also do internships with some of the local and regional entities here. I, for instance, been promoting that whole idea of the, how do we really protect and preserve our bioregions here, like whether it is for instance, in our own backyard here, Cumberland Plateau and, Sequatchie Valley and the Appalachians, which are sort of cutting through Tennessee and going into Virginia and other parts, other states. So we don't look at the political entity as a state, as a political entity. Cumberland River is coming from Kentucky and cutting through Tennessee and, going back up. Same with the Tennessee River. So we look at microplastics and other issues that are sort of, environmental pollution issues, industrial pollution issues that students, look at and, provide some really interesting ideas and solutions to that. So
interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How has AI played a role in today's journalism when it comes to a lot of these issues you're talking about?
I would say that, I'm not one of the, as an individual, as a scholar, I take things with a pinch of salt and caution. AI certainly, it's like bandied around all over the place, but I am careful about the way in which we are talking about AI because one of my students and I myself am writing a book on climate change and environment based on my US scholar Fulbright that I had visited India a couple years back, and I have looking at Tennessee, my second home here, my home where I'm, my family is from here, so I have to, make sure that, I'm doing a comparative analysis. So data centers are something that we need to really focus on when you talk about AI, how much of the environmental despoilation is going on, whether there is a better way to sort of, bring about changes in that sector in the AI field.
Sure.
So I would say that, AI, certainly early days, you can, some entities are using it as a monitoring for carbon mapping technologies that they're using as a way to really gauge and understand how much of the, for instance, ozone depletion and methane gas and other kinds of things to measure and to quantify those things.
Hey, and where can people learn more about this? Where can folks learn more about the idea of environmental journalism and get a better grasp on this if they would like to go this direction and maybe get a degree in this?
Yes, at the MTSU School of Journalism, we have a website, journalism.mtsu.edu. I, as a program coordinator and one of the faculty members there, sanjay.astana.mtsu.edu, or you can just Google MTSU Environmental Journalism and you will get to the web page. And also there are some other avenues from the web page. They can look at other local initiatives that people are doing that not at the university level perhaps, but other institutions that are engaged in this space.
Hey, are there a lot of universities that have a focus on environmental journalism?
Few of them now. Certainly in Middle Tennessee, MTSU is one of the only ones here, but the University of the South Sewanee, they don't have environmental journalism, but they have something called the environmental science. And we do at MTSU also have a more interdisciplinary orientation to that. Like, for instance, my colleagues here, Center for Energy Sustainability, it's a campus-wide, MTSU-wide program where they look at all things sustainability. And then we have people from College of Business, who have supply chain sustainability management program. Then you have, in geosciences, in biology. But environmental communication journalism is a space where, you have, public science. How do you communicate science? To the public, general public, to, so local public. So students do that. They write in different modes of journalism, not just reporting and writing, but they're different genres. Like they could be advocacy journalism. They could be something that, students are covering, writing about the Memphis, particularly the data center in Memphis, in the Boxtown, where, you have the XAI. Students have written about it. Students have a dialogue and discussions about it. We have on-campus events, and I have participated in the Earth Day events on the square here at MTSU Square for the last several years, 4 or 5 years, and I involved the middle school children and their families, and we have more kind of an ongoing conversation, which is more, I think, online conversations do help, but it is the in-person interactions with others,
Sure.
That is more productive.
And Memphis would be an interesting one because you have the Center for Earthquake Research there. You've got the Mississippi River, which just a few years back became almost bone dry. I mean, there's a lot of interesting environmental issues in West Tennessee for sure.
Yes, Scott. I think, you bring a nice point, though. A couple of years back, I had a student who did the Madrid earthquake zone, that is the Mississippi River, and she produced a pretty good paper, like about detailed research, archival research, and building that into the way in which, like, doing how to read a landscape. So visiting the place and taking pictures, talking to people on the ground in the vicinity, in the area, and then building a nice, nifty poster presentation out of that. And it was at the Scholars Week that we had at the MTSU, presented the work. She presented the work and won the first prize for that, poster presentation. So that was the topic there.
The New Madrid fault line. That would be a scary, subject for sure. But anyway, it sounds fascinating. And again, if folks would like to learn more, you could simply Google Environmental Journalism, MTSU, and it should pull up a lot more details.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to.
Definitely.
Yeah,
thank you for joining us this morning. Again, Dr. Sanjay Asthana, professor in the MTSU School of Journalism and also Strategic Media and head of the Environmental Journalism concentration. It's actually a longer title. What was?
Environmental Journalism and Communication.
And Communication.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.
Trade screens for sunshine. Registration is open for Rutherford County 4-H Junior Camp, June 8 through 12. Zipline, swimming, and outdoor fun for 4th through 6th graders. Sign up now at the Extension website or call 615-898-7710.
Hello, this is Emily Messier, and I am a resident at Adams Place Assisted Living. And I came to be here because my husband died, and I live out in Las Casas, and it was too much for me to be taken care of all by myself. The children felt this was a good place for me to be.
This is Terry Deal. Call me at 615-904-9111. Adams Place on Memorial across from Walmart.
The Action Line on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
And now joining us in studio from MTSU, we have Ella Cobb and Savannah Gill. And Ella, let's start with you. You are a current student at the university, right?
Yes, I am. I am a graduate student and I will graduate in August.
And what is your focus?
I'm getting my MBA in Strategic Marketing Analytics.
And then Savannah, what about you?
Yeah, I just graduated with my bachelor's in digital marketing, and I'm going to go in the fall and get a master's in digital media.
So what all have y'all been doing at the university, and what has the experience been like?
Oh, amazing. We have definitely made the most out of our time here. We actually met on a job, 2 jobs. We were Blue Elite tour guides, and then we've been on the MTSU social media team with our news and media department. But yeah, we've been to collegiate DECA competitions.
I've gone to the races that they have in Lebanon. We've been to all football games.
Grand Ole Opry, like you name it, I feel like I've done it, and it's amazing.
And are y'all from here originally, or where are you from?
I'm actually from Shelbyville, so not that far.
Okay.
And I'm from Fayetteville, so right down the road from Shelbyville.
So not too far away. But DECA, going back to that, now what have you been a part of with DECA, and tell folks what DECA actually is.
So DECA is a student business organization. They have the high school version and they have the collegiate version. I did not join until college about a year ago or so. And we went for a competition in Louisville, Kentucky, where we did a case study.
And we did about an hour of prep for the case study. And so we were given this big case that we had to do. And first round, it was more just social media based. And we had an hour to prep a presentation. And then we had 15 minutes to present it to the judges right after. We got through the first round initially, and then we went straight into the second round, and that was a more wide range of marketing. So it was a little bit of a website, it was social media posts, still an hour to do.
A full marketing plan.
Yeah. So it was really cool to do.
So when you say an hour to do this project, they literally tell you the topic and then say, hey, you got 1 hour to come up with a marketing plan. Next, just an hour to come up with a website, or is that how it works, or is it different?
I mean, basically, yeah. Like you sit down at a table, you flip over your paper, and you have 60 minutes to read your case study, interpret it, work together, make a plan, build a few content posts with like our some of our things that we needed to do, build like a rough edit of a website, sort of. So yeah, it's very, very fast.
Yeah.
It definitely teaches you how to work quick on your, like be quick on your feet.
Yeah. And it works out because we've worked together in so many different aspects that we didn't really have to think at some spots. Like she just picked up some things, I picked up the rest of it, and we went on, and 20 minutes left, and we were like, okay, perfect, we're done.
So like on the website creation side of it, are you allowed to use website builder sites like Squarespace or WordPress, or do you have to do everything on your own?
We were allowed to use our laptop, so we made like a Canva presentation to present, and we were allowed to use AI a little bit too if we needed to, so we did for the website, just because it didn't need to be an interactive working website. It needed to just be this is what our landing page looks like, this is how it would look. So we were able to use things like that and present. But yeah, when I look back on it, it's crazy that we did that. That was so quick.
I was scared because she had done it before. She had been to a DECA competition before. I had never been involved. She reeled me into it, and I was like, honestly, let's go. Like, let's do it. And so I went, and I was so nervous the first preliminary rounds, and I was like, I have no idea how this works. I don't know what to expect walking in. And once I got through that first one and we went to the finals, I was like, oh, I know what I'm doing. Like, this makes sense. I got it.
So do they like give you a fake name of a company? You have to design. I mean, do you have to go as far as designing a logo for the company?
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
Really?
That was one of our biggest critiques was we didn't get that many critiques on our preliminary round, but she was like, I wish we would have had the logo in the bottom corner of every slide of the presentation. And it didn't have to be anything crazy.
Yeah.
I just found an image on Canva and added the name of the company. It was essentially Campbell's Soup without being Campbell's Soup as our first company. It was a different name, but it essentially was a soup company. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
It was.
Man, but the graphic side of stuff, I think I'm a little OCD. I'd spend the whole time on the single logo or something.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That was definitely
it's
hard.
It's definitely a thing where it's like, okay, we have to stop, leave this here, but we move on. If we have time, we'll go back to it, but we've got to stop and just let it go.
Yeah.
And so how did you do overall? What was the outcome of being part of that DECA challenge?
So we made it through the preliminary round and was in the top 10% then, and then we competed again in the finals, and in the finals we placed third in the nation in the marketing communications category.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
Do you have to come up with like commercial scripts as well?
We haven't done that yet. That would be fun, though.
That is probably another competition, honestly. They have so many different smaller divisions of ones, so I'm sure that's probably part of them, too.
So I'm curious, when you look at your work compared to the person who won overall, who do you think was better? I mean, do you really think, were you like, wow?
I wish we could see their work.
Yeah.
We don't know what any of
we
them
have
did.
no idea.
Yeah, all of our
Well,
presenting.
that's not cool.
I know.
I wish.
All of our presenting was in private with our judge, and every team was given a judge that was a local marketing professional in the Kentucky area. So that was really cool too. Like it's not like we were talking to professors. We were talking to people who work in this every day. So that was really nice. But I would love to. I thought about that when we left. I was like, I want to see these other people's.
Yes.
I want to see what they did.
Well, the local professionals were so cool, too, because we met them and we ended up connecting with them on LinkedIn after we were done. We were like, we need to keep up with these people. Like, these seem like really good connections that we're making.
And when you look at Kentucky, I mean, you've got companies like the Louisville Sluggers made there. What kind of, I guess these are marketing people you're meeting with. What kind, are they from big backgrounds, big companies?
Our first judge actually worked for Visit Louisville, so like the tourist organization there, so that was pretty cool. And then our second one, who was that?
They were from the KFC Yum Center, so they worked for
literally
their
Kentucky
whole,
Fried Chicken.
Yeah, and that whole center where they have football games.
Yeah, I think it's football games. I think it's like Nissan Stadium, but I'm not sure.
But he worked for them, and he was like, he's worked in other areas too. I can't remember exactly which ones, but he ended up there, and he loves it.
Very cool. Hey, we only have like 20 seconds left. So in closing, where can folks find out more about this, or can they Google DECA MTSU?
Yes. They can Google Collegiate DECA would be a good place to start. But yeah, there is an MTSU chapter.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you would encourage others to get involved.
Absolutely.
Yes,
we loved
anyway,
it. It was a great experience.
Sounds good. Well, thank you both for joining. Again, Ella Cobb with us and Savannah Gill. Thank you both for joining us this morning.
Thank you.